Can my employer pay me my pay in lieu of notice as part of the non-taxable termination payment in my employment-related settlement agreement? I'm Richard Hiron, also known as the Hironator, and I'm an employment law solicitor. As I teased last time, this is quite an important video, and therefore, to make it even more memorable, I've chosen to wear this quite hideous tie. Being serious, just for a moment, the thing with this is, no, they cannot pay your taxable pay in lieu of notice as non-taxable compensation, because the thing is, by doing that, they would be committing tax evasion, and they might be getting you to commit tax evasion as well. So, tax evasion is unlawful. It's illegal. Tax avoidance is exploiting a loophole that means that you aren't breaking the law, but you're paying less tax. Obviously, you'd need to discuss the entire tax concept in more detail with a tax advisor, but that's just the basics. In terms of the termination payment, the non-taxable £30,000, there used to be a practice where employers would take an employee's pay in lieu of notice and group it in with their termination payment to make the entirety non-taxable. In April 2018, there was a provision called post-employment notice pay introduced, and what that did was, where a settlement agreement was quiet about whether an employee was working their notice or being paid in lieu of notice, HMRC could essentially come in and say, okay, you're receiving this termination payment. There's nothing in here about your notice or your pay in lieu of notice. Therefore, we are going to tax the termination payment, either all of it or part of it, as if it is your notice pay. So, from that, it is very important that your settlement agreement deals with your notice period or your notice pay separately to the non-taxable termination payment, because otherwise you run the risk of paying tax and possibly having some kind of insinuation of illegal tax evasion made against you. Now, hopefully you can see that's why that was probably the most important video on tax. I promise that we're not going to be covering tax in any more detail, maybe here and there, but nothing like that. We're going to move on to new topics. Therefore, if you're finding a settlement agreement hard, bring it to Richard.